What is up, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are going to be breaking down the fantasy outlook of SONY Michel heading into the 2020 season. Hit that subscribe button for us, and let's get into the video. Now, if you're coming to this video to have some encouragement or some push towards drafting SONY Michel, this probably isn't your video, and you can just click off right now. If you're coming here to know why you should pause and consider not drafting SONY Michel, then that's what I'm probably going to end up helping you do. I don't hate SONY Michel the person. I just don't understand the appeal from a fantasy perspective. So last year, one of the best defensive teams in the league. You have Tom Brady, not as efficient as usual, lost Gronk, didn't have the greatest supporting cast around him. All the opportunity was afforded to SONY Michel last year, and yet he gave us absolutely jack diddly squat. Finishes with 247 carries, not even 1,000 rushing yards, 12 receptions on 94 passing yards, and 7 total touchdowns. That's enough for 152.6 fantasy points, playing 16 games. Can't even breach the 200-point mark. That's 31st in the NFL. Couldn't even average 10 fantasy points per game. 9.5. That is 39th. I don't know about you, but rostering running backs that can't even finish as a running back 2 in total points or running back 3 in fantasy points per game isn't something that excites me. In addition to that, we have a mystery foot injury that apparently occurred sometime over the offseason, or it was something that he was dealing with last year that we just didn't know about. So he already has a litany of injuries. Get this additional one thrown on top of it. This one's really scaring me away. He's gonna get volume as long as he's healthy. And Cam Newton coming into the fold definitely changes some things, but honestly, I don't know if it changes things better for him. It might be worse, because if it was Jarrett Stidham, at least you knew when SONY Michel was on the field he was going to get the goal line carries. Now you get one of the best touchdown scoring quarterbacks, at least from a rushing perspective, of all time coming in with Cam Newton. I highly doubt that Josh McDaniels is just going to ignore that. So probably lowers the touchdown upside that you are already hoping for with SONY Michel. So last year, again, pretty abysmal. He gave you basically 2 really good weeks. 1 week in which he finishes the top 6, another he finishes the top 12, but he only finishes the running back 1 2 times in the entire year. 4 more times as a running back 2, but that floor, absolutely gross. Multiple games under 5 points. Couldn't even breach 10 points on half of his games. It just wasn't pretty. And if you owned SONY Michel, you probably had a hard time dropping him, but he never really did much for you when you started him. So the upside just doesn't speak to me here. Again, last year he finished with 247 carries, which was top 10 in the NFL, and he averaged 3.9 yards per touch, which was 54th in the NFL. Only a 2.4% breakaway run rate, which was 43rd, a 19.3% juke rate, which was 40th, and he was provided the second best game script because of that defense of all running backs, a 4.5 game script. So he should have dominated last year, and he just was able to do nothing with the carries that he got. Now, if we want to paint any positive light for SONY Michel, I would be remiss to not mention that he faced, on average, 6.9 defenders in the box, which was top 10. So the defense was a little bit harder against him when he was on the field, which could just be when SONY Michel was on the field, it was tipping off their hand, knowing that he wasn't ever going to catch the ball. They were going to run with him. So when James White was on the field, they knew he was going to get thrown to. So maybe that is a little bit more, but that's a little oversimplistic. Obviously, I'm just generalizing here. The Patriots' offense is much more complex than that, but he doesn't give you any upside either. The fact that he doesn't catch any passes, that's another point. And he also faced a pretty bad run blocking efficiency last year. His offensive line only gave him a 55.8 run blocking efficiency, which was 58th in the league. So there's at least some things to look at and say, well, it wasn't 100% SONY Michel's fault. But again, if you're taking a running back around where SONY Michel is going, yes, he's going to get the workload, but would you rather take a guy like that or a guy that could potentially see a boost in his workload and see work in the passing game, and doesn't have a running back behind him that was drafted decently high in the previous year, that although he didn't play much last year, we know how Bill Belichick typically works in rookies. He doesn't usually give a lot of volume to a rookie running back. So Damian Harris is still there. I'm not really sure what to think of him. He could just be a complete bust and we just never see him. The fact that we didn't see him at all last year is highly concerning. But knowing Bill Belichick's track record and just seeing the inefficiency of Sony Michel, it just makes all the sense in the world that Damian Harris would eventually begin to see more and more work as the season went on. I just don't see the upside, guys. So we have him projected right now to finish pretty close to where he did last year with 908 rushing yards, 82 receiving yards on 10 receptions and 8 total touchdowns, putting him right about where he finished last year. And that's just not an asset I want to own on my team in any format whatsoever. For him to actually return value, he'd either need to start seeing a lot more work in the passing game, or you would need to see like a 15 plus touchdown season, which with Cam Newton there, I don't see how that happens. So very low upside for me, not a guy I'm targeting in any format. But what say you guys? Do you think that I'm being too critical on Sony Michel, or do you agree with me? Let me know in the comment section below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.